Welcome. In this video, we're going to take a look at how to create products and assets on the web of Dalux FM. Assets can be a lot of things. For instance, it could be technical equipment, building parts, installations, and even cars and so on. Assets are basically elements that we wish to keep track on. We can collect data, we can create user-defined fields, make sure that we have overview of warranties, we can use QR codes to scan, maintenance history and planning, placement, analyze data, and so on. So there are a lot of ways to use assets in Dalux. Products in Dalux are for distributing duplicate data that goes through several assets. So that you create several assets like here, 1, 2, and 3, but these assets can contain the same producer, price, warranty, documents, images, and so on. That way we can have separate operation and maintenance history, but with the same core data, without having to enter it into different assets several times. Now let's hop over to Dalux. First, let's create a product. By going to Assets. By default, we go to Assets, but for now, let's take a look at the product. As mentioned, products are for distributing different information that goes on several assets. In this case, we're going to do a sensor. So let's name it sensor. Name a producer. Maybe add a type name. Now let's select a classification. More about how these works later, but for now, let's put it into lighting control and hit select. Disciplines we can choose to use and create ourselves if you want to, but for now, let's just put it on electric. We don't have to fill out all of the information, but we can if we want to. For instance, if the warranty was 5 years and the service life was 10, we can add it like this. We can also set a price and add an image. Now we've added an image, and we can add a description as well. For instance, sensor for turning on lights. Let's hit create. The company, Fuga, has not been created yet. So in this case, we're going to hit create. Now our sensor has been created and we are ready to make an asset. Now in assets, we hit create. This is where we create assets. Here is where the classification really comes into play. The classification is what defines the category of what the asset actually is, and also defines what metadata fields that are turned on for the particular asset. This can mean that we need some fields for doors, but a whole different set of fields for ventilation. See more about this in the video of setting up properties and classification. Here, for instance, we can start out by adding the classification. Let's pick the same one as before and hit OK. Now all of the properties for this particular classification pops up down here. We can name it sensor and we can add it as a product. Because we have lighting as our classification, we can only select the product that fits for that. All of the information that we just entered is now in the product. The image will also appear once we hit create. We can add description. We can add a placement. For instance, any building, like so. And we can also place on a map, so that the asset will be placed somewhere in the world outside with GPS coordinates. But for now, let's place it in the building. We can also place it on a floor and then say that it is right here in this room that this asset has been placed. And hit select. This is how we can enrich the asset with information on where it's placed. We can also add BIM instances So if we have 3D models, we can then connect to 3D objects. Down here, if we enter in the installation date, then the warranty is automatically calculated out from our warranty period placed on the product. Obviously, the installation date can differ from asset to asset, but if it's the same product, then it takes out the same warranty period and gives us the remaining time. Down here, we can enter in on user-defined fields. These are fields that you can create in various types of fields, drop-down menus, tick boxes, dates, and so on. To see more about this, also head on over to the video about properties and classification. But for now, we're ready to hit create. Now our sensor has been created and is now an asset. You see the placement of the building and the room is loaded in, as well as the picture. We can add the description. We can, on the green plus, add documents, recurring work orders, service agreements, and also subcomponents. So this is how you actually connect components to each other if they are within the same system. The detailing of the asset can then be decided by you. So if you want an entire system as one asset, that's okay. But if you want all of the subcomponents for a system connected to the main system, then you can do that as well. Let's take a look at a different asset that has already been created. For instance, this one, ventilation, air cooler. You see here it has pictures with different timestamps on them. This is how you can add pictures. So if you want to update information by having new pictures, they will be shown here as a history. You can see here that the product has been used as well. There's warranty left. You can see that there are recurring work orders. So statutory and warranty related work orders, as well as which ones are active, you can see right here. You can also add, so that if you have planned maintenance on this particular asset, this is where you can put it in. You can see that the documents have been added, and these can be viewed just by clicking on them. Here you can see that this is connected to a subcomponent. This means that this asset is connected to a different component, just as mentioned before. In the top, you can see show upcoming work orders. All of the work orders upcoming is in here now. You can also see history, so that if fields are changed, pictures and documents are added, etc., all of this will be added to the history of the asset. That's why assets are a great way to keep track of your equipment. As the last thing, assets can be created in bulk by using the template. By hitting this, you get an Excel file, and the Excel file can then be filled out with the information of the asset. That's a great way to create a lot of assets at once. Once the Excel file has been filled out, go back and hit Create Data, and then upload the Excel file. All of the data on the asset is available here on the list view. Another example could be that we want to see where our assets are placed. So if we select Building and select All, then we can get it displayed as a chart and then hit OK. And then we can see where our assets are placed and how many assets we have in the different locations. This is just one way of showing data, and you can do this with all of the data within your assets. The possibilities are therefore endless. That's all for this video. See you again next time.